On the grammar test, you will have a section where you will be asked to look at source integration. And your job is not to look at the citations at the end, but to look at the complete sentence with the source integrated and decide if each sentence makes sense by clearly stating who is being quoted, what is being said. Is that really being said by the person? Are they quoting someone else? Is it punctuated correctly? Does the way the quotation is introduced flow well with the actual quotation, or is it rather clunky and hard to understand? So pause the video now, try this sample question, and when you are finished, you can come back and we will talk about each sentence and why the answer is what it is. So go ahead and pause the video now and give it a try. So the first answer is the correct answer because it is the correctly integrated source or integrated quotation within a sentence. It may look a little strange to you. We have one person quoting someone else. So John Lithgow is an author and actor who's written a book where he quotes Elizabeth Bishop. And Elizabeth Bishop is a poet who writes, "Something needn't be large to be good." So your only concern is, does this identify who actually said or wrote the thing that's in quotation marks? And in this case, what's being quoted was in a source by John Lithgow, but he's quoting Elizabeth Bishop. Now let's look at item B. Jesus quotes, "Love your enemies." That's from Matthew 5:4. Now, why would Jesus be quoting Jesus, right? So oftentimes students want to use the word quote. I always recommend that you just don't use the word quote in your writing at all, unless you have something like this first scenario in the first sentence where you have a source that's quoting another source. That is the only time really to use the word quote in your writing. Otherwise, it will sound like you're trying to say that someone is quoting someone else. And in sentence B, Jesus is not quoting someone else. Jesus says, "Love your enemies." Okay, so the word quotes does not work there. Item C, according to the librarian, she says that Alabama Virtual Library offers students more resources if they go through the Wallace State homepage. So the quotation itself makes sense, but what's leading up to it, according to the librarian, is all we need. According to the librarian, Alabama Virtual Library offers students. We don't need, according to the librarian, she says that. The librarian is speaking, we're quoting directly what the librarian says, but to say she says that is redundant. So we could either say, according to the librarian, and then give the quote, or the librarian says that and give the quote, but we don't need both. So be careful when you're using according to. Just like according to the weatherman, it's going to snow, you would not say, according to the weatherman, he says that, right? Because it's like, according to the weatherman, someone else says that. It's going, so that it's really just awkward. So watch out for that. Also, you'll notice that the word "that" is underlined here, double underlined. When you have the word "that" before a quotation, do not use a comma. A comma and the word "that" do the same job. So if I were going to use the construction, she says that, and then give the quotation, I would not need a comma. if I were going to say, so let's pretend that this is the sentence. If I were going to say she says that, I would say it like this. Or if I were going to say she says, then I would need a comma before the quotation. Okay, but never that with a comma. All right, then we have the English department syllabus states. Then we have a colon. Now, using a colon before a quotation can be done, but you must have a complete sentence that introduces the quotation before the colon. So the English department syllabus states it's not a complete sentence. What does it state? So we could revise this to say the English department syllabus states or gives notice of school closings or weather delays, and that would be a complete sentence. Complete sentence, colon, and then here is the notice of weather delays. Okay, so when you see a colon, you should be able to think in your head or even say out loud as an aside, and here it is. Okay, here is the notice of the weather delays, but we did not have that initially, so we can't just automatically use that construction there. Okay, I will add some more links about source integration to the notes on this video. But ask your instructor if you have any questions or confusion about integrating sources. And here again, we are not looking at the parenthetical citations, those things in parentheses. We're just looking at the flow of the whole sentence with a quotation.